Imagine this. You hit record, speak your truth, upload that video, and it only gets 3 views. At first, it feels pointless. You start asking yourself, what's the use? Nobody cares. Nobody's watching. But what if I told you that those 3 views could be the very spark that changes your future forever? Because the truth is, the transformation isn't in the numbers. It's in who you become when you choose to show up. Think about it. Every successful creator, every entrepreneur, every leader you admire, they all started with their first video, their first attempt, their first seed. And most of the time, hardly anyone noticed at first. But here's the secret. The real impact of posting isn't measured by views. It's measured by the discipline, clarity, and resilience you build by pressing upload. Each video becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. Now imagine 6 months from today. You look back at the library of videos you've created. Your ideas, your lessons, your growth, all captured in digital form. That's not just content, that's your portfolio, your legacy. And maybe along the way, one of those invisible videos, the one with barely any views, gets discovered by the right person. A client, a mentor, an opportunity you never saw coming. So, let me ask you again. What if making just one video today could change your entire life, even if nobody watches it right now? Because the truth is, it's not about who's watching today, it's about who you're becoming tomorrow. When you decide to create content, whether it's your very first video or your 100th, you quickly realize it's not just about hitting record. It's a battle in the mind. You start asking yourself questions. Do I look okay on camera? What if I mess up? What if people laugh at me? What if no one even cares? These questions feel heavy because they expose our deepest fear, that we might not be good enough. And that's why creating content consistently is so powerful. It's not only about reaching an audience, it's about training yourself to become resilient. Every upload is like a mini act of courage. Each time you push past hesitation, you're telling your brain, I am stronger than my fear. That habit compounds over time and creates what I call emotional stamina. Think of it like exercise. If you've ever gone to the gym after a long break, you know the first workout feels brutal. Your muscles ache, you're out of breath, and you wonder if it's even worth it. But by showing up again and again, your body adapts. You get stronger, your endurance builds, and soon what once felt impossible becomes second nature. Content creation works the same way, except instead of muscles, you're strengthening your inner world. At first, perfectionism will scream at you, don't post this until it's perfect. But resilience whispers back, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be done. Self-doubt will try to paralyze you, nobody's going to care about this. But resilience answers, maybe not today, but I'm showing up anyway. Even criticism, which once felt like a stab in the chest, starts to lose its power when you keep going. You learn that negative comments don't define you. They refine you. One of the most amazing parts about this journey is how the growth spills over into the rest of your life. Once you've faced the fear of hitting upload, suddenly speaking up in a meeting feels easier. Taking a risk in your business doesn't seem as intimidating. Even in your personal life, you find yourself more confident to say what you believe, to ask for what you want, to step into opportunities instead of shrinking back. That's the ripple effect of resilience. And here's the secret. Resilience is rare. Most people give up at the first sign of discomfort. They let fear, rejection, or the weight of expectations silence them. But the ones who keep showing up, even with shaky voices, even when no one claps, even when views are low, those are the ones who eventually break through. Why? Because they've been forged in the fire of persistence. They've built a foundation that's unshakable. Psychologists talk about something called exposure therapy. The idea is simple. The more you expose yourself to what you fear, the less power that fear holds over you. Every video you upload is exposure therapy for your soul. You're facing rejection, judgment, and silence over and over again until one day you realize it doesn't scare you anymore. In fact, it empowers you. And here's where it gets even deeper. From a biblical perspective, James 1:2-4 says, Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. Another word for steadfastness? Resilience. Even God allows us to face challenges not to destroy us, but to strengthen us. When you embrace the process of creating, even when no one applauds, you are literally building the character God can use for bigger assignments. So let me bring this home. Creating videos is not just about content, it's about character. Every upload is a decision to resist the urge to quit. Every view, like, or comment is just a bonus, but the real reward is in the person you're becoming. Stronger, bolder, more resilient. That's why the first hidden benefit of content creation is mental resilience. It trains you to push past perfectionism, self-doubt, and fear of criticism until they no longer control you. And once you master that, not only will your content grow, but your entire life will expand, because resilience is the foundation of every breakthrough. When you start creating videos, let's be real. Your first attempts are usually awkward. You fumble with words, your delivery feels stiff, your camera presence looks forced, and sometimes you can't even watch yourself without cringing. And that's okay, because the truth is, nobody starts out polished. The gap between your first recording and the storyteller you want to be is not crossed by theory, it's crossed by practice. This is where iteration becomes your secret weapon. Every time you record, edit, and upload, you're putting in repetitions. Each attempt teaches you something new about pacing, about storytelling, about how your audience responds. Over time, these small lessons compound into real skill. Improvement doesn't happen in a single video. It happens across dozens of them. Think about learning to ride a bike. The first time you climbed on, you wobbled, maybe even crashed. But you didn't stop there. You got back on. You adjusted. You learned how to balance, how to pedal smoothly, how to steer without overthinking it. Before long, what once felt impossible became natural. Content creation is the same. Your first video might feel like a crash, but your 50th, that's where you glide. The beauty of iteration is that it exposes flaws you can't see until you take action. You can plan forever, read tips, and watch tutorials, but nothing compares to the feedback loop of doing. Once you record and publish, you gain perspective. You notice that your storytelling dragged in one part. You realize your lighting was off. You catch the filler words you repeat too much. That awareness creates growth, and it only happens through consistent practice. Psychologists call this deliberate practice, a concept popularized by Anders Ericsson. It's the idea that mastery doesn't come from mindless repetition, but from intentional, focused effort, paired with feedback. Every upload gives you a mirror to evaluate yourself against. Over time, your rough drafts of storytelling turn into crafted narratives that flow effortlessly. And here's the thing. Improvement compounds like interest in a bank account. 1% better per video might not look like much in the moment, but imagine what happens after 100 uploads. By then, your delivery will be sharper, your editing smoother, your ideas clearer. You'll look back at your early videos and laugh at how far you've come. What once embarrassed you now inspires you, because it proves growth is possible. Let's make this real. Picture a creator with shaky hands filming on a cheap phone in a dimly lit room. No audience, no likes, barely any views. That was their starting point. But they kept showing up. Each time they posted, they learned a little more about framing, about tone, about how to capture attention in the first few seconds. Fast forward a year, and the same person is confidently speaking on camera. Their storytelling grips attention. Their editing feels professional. The difference isn't talent. It's the compounded effect of iteration. Even scripture reinforces this principle. Zechariah 4:10 says, "Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin." God doesn't expect you to be perfect on day one. He celebrates the fact that you started. Improvement is a journey, and every small step forward is part of his design. And when you look at it scientifically, the brain itself is wired for iteration. Neuroscience tells us about neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself through practice. Every time you repeat a skill, the connections in your brain strengthen, making the task easier and more automatic. That's why the 10th video feels less awkward than the first. You are literally rewiring your brain with each repetition. So here's the takeaway. Your craft improves because you keep showing up, even when it feels rough. Don't wait for perfection, because perfection never comes before practice. Excellence is born out of consistency. Like the saying goes, you don't have to be great to start. but you have to start to be great. And when you stack resilience, the first benefit, with craft improvement, the second, you create unstoppable momentum. Resilience keeps you going when you want to quit, and iteration sharpens your skills each time you try. The result? You evolve from awkward beginner to skilled communicator. Not overnight, but step by step, video by video. Think of every video you create as more than just a clip floating around the internet. Each one is a brick in the foundation of your digital portfolio, a living archive of your story, your lessons, your values, your creativity. Most people think of a portfolio as something artists or designers put together, but in today's world, every creator, entrepreneur, and leader builds theirs piece by piece online. Here's the beauty of it. When you upload a video, it doesn't disappear. It stays there, quietly working for you, sometimes long after you've forgotten about it. Weeks, months, even years later, someone might stumble upon your words at the exact moment they needed them. That single video could be the seed that opens a door you never even imagined existed. Your digital portfolio is like planting a forest. One tree doesn't change much, but plant one every day, and years later you've built something massive, something that provides shade, fruit, and a home for opportunities. A video might seem small today, but in time it becomes part of the ecosystem of your influence. Here's what people often miss. Your portfolio doesn't just show what you do. It shows who you are. Every upload captures your growth. Your first video might be raw and rough, but it shows courage. Your later videos reveal refinement, clarity, and persistence. Together, they tell a story. This is a person who keeps showing up, who invests in their craft, who is serious about making an impact. That story is attractive to opportunities, collaborations, clients, speaking engagements, even friendships. Let me make it practical. Imagine someone applying for a business partnership or pitching themselves to an investor. Most people show up with a deck or resume. But what if you had a library of 100 videos where you've already shared your thinking, your values, your ability to communicate, and your resilience? You don't just tell people who you are, you've already proven it. That's the power of a digital portfolio. Here's the science behind why it works. The internet never sleeps. While you're resting, your content is working. Algorithms might resurface your older videos. Someone might share it with a friend. A random viewer in another country might find it at 3 a.m. Your portfolio builds reach and authority around the clock without you lifting a finger. It's like creating clones of yourself, each one capable of starting a conversation on your behalf. And there's a biblical principle woven into this. Matthew 5:14 says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." When you create content, you're putting your lamp on a stand. You're not hiding your gift. You're shining it where others can see. Each video becomes a light, and when you have dozens or hundreds, the brightness multiplies. Think about the story of Joseph. His gift of interpreting dreams didn't immediately elevate him, but when the right moment came, his record of faithfulness and wisdom became the very thing that lifted him out of prison into the palace. Your videos work the same way. Even if today nobody notices, the time will come when someone in power or someone in need stumbles upon your work, and that portfolio becomes your ticket forward. And let's not forget, opportunities rarely knock when you expect them. But when they do, your portfolio makes sure you're ready. Instead of saying, "I can do this," you can say, "Here's proof. I've already been doing it." That confidence, that visible track record, is priceless. Even in business, we see this principle everywhere. Why do big brands invest millions in content marketing? Because they know visibility is currency. The more touch points people have with your message, the more trust builds, and trust leads to doors opening. On a personal level, every video you create compounds into digital trust equity. So the question is not, what if nobody watches my video today? The better question is, what story will my portfolio tell after I've created 50? After I've created 100? After I've created 500? Because that's the story opportunities will respond to. And when you see it this way, uploading isn't just about chasing views, it's about planting evidence. Each video says, "I showed up. I invested in myself. I gave value." That story, stitched together across time, can take you places no resume ever could. Here's the truth most people miss. Algorithms are not magic. They're machines hungry for patterns. They feed on consistency. And when you show up consistently with your content, you're not just posting videos, you're literally training the system to work for you instead of against you. Think about how YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or any major platform works. They have one mission: keep people on their app. The longer people stay, the more ads they sell, the more revenue they generate. So when you post once in a while, the algorithm shrugs. It doesn't know who you are or what kind of audience you serve. But when you post with consistency, the system starts to recognize you. It says, this person is serious. They show up. They create predictable signals we can feed to viewers who want this kind of content. Suddenly, the algorithm shifts from being a wall you're pushing against to a wave that begins carrying you forward. Here's a metaphor. Imagine trying to start a campfire. If you throw one spark and walk away, nothing happens. But if you keep striking matches, adding kindling, feeding the flames day after day, eventually the fire catches, and once it's burning, it sustains itself. That's how algorithm feeding works. Your consistency is the kindling. Every video you post adds heat, and over time, the system begins rewarding you with visibility. Most people quit before the fire catches. They post 5 videos, get no views, and declare it doesn't work. But the algorithm is like a gatekeeper testing your endurance. Will you keep showing up even when nobody claps? If you do, it starts to push your work to the right people. It's not about going viral once. It's about building momentum that compounds. There's even a psychological science behind this. Hebbian learning in neuroscience says, neurons that fire together wire together. Translation, repetition strengthens connections. The same principle applies to algorithms. When you repeat a signal uploading consistently, the algorithm wires your content into patterns that the platform trusts. Your videos start getting recommended, not because of luck, but because the system has now built a connection between you and the viewers hungry for your message. And here's the beautiful part. Consistency creates predictability not just for the algorithm, but for your audience. When people know you'll show up, they begin showing up too. Imagine being their go-to in the morning, the voice they listen to during lunch, or the encouragement they expect every evening. Over time, your presence becomes woven into their routine. That's influence. The Bible echoes this principle of steady sowing. Let us not grow weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not. Galatians 6:9. Consistency is sowing. Every upload is a seed. The platform is the soil. The harvest is visibility, influence, and impact. But it only comes to those who don't faint, who keep planting. Think about farmers. They don't dig up the soil 2 days after planting to check if the seed sprouted. They trust the process, water it daily, and wait. Content creation works the same way. The algorithm rewards those who trust the process. It tests for faithfulness before it delivers fruitfulness. Look at any major creator you admire. Rarely did they blow up on their first video. Most of them uploaded for months, even years, with little recognition, but every upload was feeding the system. Every piece added momentum, until suddenly it seemed overnight they blew up. But it wasn't overnight. It was the compound effect of feeding the algorithm consistently until the tipping point came. And here's where faith and practicality meet. When you show up consistently, you're not just feeding an algorithm, you're training yourself. You're becoming the kind of person who doesn't need instant applause to stay committed. You're proving to yourself and to God that you can steward small beginnings faithfully. And the word says, "He who is faithful with little will be entrusted with much." Luke 16:10. So stop obsessing over virality. Stop refreshing the view count like your life depends on it. Instead, play the long game. Every video is food. Every upload is fuel. Keep feeding the system. Build momentum. And one day, without warning, the very algorithm you thought was ignoring you will carry your message further than you imagined, because you stayed in the game long enough for the fire to catch.